What's good, y'all? Kip up here, and here we are for a draft recap. This is my team for the draft recap. I think tomorrow I might do a full league draft recap, but for now, this is what I drafted. We had to go through 6 tiers, and then we had a few points to spend on some other mons. This was I franchise Garchomp, so I can only get tier 6 mons. We did have 6 tiers, but tier 6 is obviously the lowest. It's pretty much PU. And I spent my picks on Luminion and Furfrou. Then we had a wild card, to which I got Togekiss. But this is my team. I got Garchomp as my franchise. Round 1 was Buzzwole. Round 2 was Milotic. 3 would be Bronzong. Round 4 I drafted my Mega, which is Mega Caesar. Round 5 I did get my Chandelure. Round 6 was Clefairy. 7, 8, and 9. So, along with all this, I did create a couple. Analyses for each of the mons. We'll start here with Garchomp. The F here is obviously for franchise, and these are some standard sets and a couple kind of weird sets. And then there's even some more where I just showed some moves that this mon had that I might use in the season. Keep in mind that this is League, so I won't be using a lot of standard sets, but these standard sets are kind of, oh hey, well that's not good. That's not good, but these sets are just kind of baselines that I could go off of. And right off the bat, when I thought Garchomp, I was thinking Bulk, and I saw the Gen 6 tank as a great way to take hits. Stealth Rock, EQ, Dragon Tail, and Fire Blast. This is the exact set from the Smogon analysis. I think I'll put in a lot of work against physical attackers. Scarf Chomp is also really good in this meta, Gen 7 specifically, and I think it'll be pretty good in League. But I did take Gen 6 Tank because that's actually what I use Garchomp for a lot on the ABR Rain team, which is huge in Pokebank OU right now. Tank Chomp is what is used mainly on that team. Next up for Garchomp, we do have just a standard Life Orb set, Fire Blast, EQ, Dragon Claw, and Outrage. The coverage on this mon does get moderately repetitive. However, you can run some special attack. Let me come in here real quick and show you the special attack. Base 80 isn't great, but it's not bad. If you boost it, let's see here. If you boost it, it gets up to 284, which isn't terrible. Honestly, it's not half bad. 259 is enough to surprise people if I want to run special chomps, so keep that in mind also. This is League yet again, so this is about surprising people with my sets, but also beating people. So I just want to point that out real quick. Don't mind that. Just leave that alone for now, because this is obviously mostly physical. Next up, we do have Sub SD. Sub SD is going to be putting in a lot of work. Substitute SD, obviously Dragon Claw and Earthquake. I guess I forgot to put Choice Scarf on, but Choice Scarf is more or less the same thing. Let's see here. Let me see if I can show you. Garchomp and Choice Scarf, actually. Scarf. Now, it would run Earthquake, Dragon Claw, Outrage, and then some form of coverage. That could be in Crunch, that could be Fire Blast, Fire Fang, that could be even Poison Jab. I thought Poison Jab would be kind of cool. But look at all these moves it gets. It gets Stone Edge, it gets Shadow Claw, it gets Aerial Ace even. So there is a lot of potential for a special Garchomp even. So just keep that in mind. As for the other heat, just as a quick example, I put Salad Berry Endure, which is something that could really help sweep. Garchomp would be pretty good, and I would actually change this to Rough Skin too. So Garchomp could possibly have a good sweeping opportunity if it's not hit by a faster Scarfmon or Priority. But that's just one example of something we could absolutely run on Garchomp. This is my franchise Pokemon, and I feel like I'm going to really have it shine this year. Not only because I want it to, but because it absolutely can. Next up, we do have round 1. I picked Buzzwole. The most standard set you see on the ladder right now, and one I will probably be using a lot, is Band. I'm going to have to change this real quick. And actually, you don't even run Bulky Band. You run you can absolutely run Jolly. And Jolly is fantastic because attack still gets the beast boost. Superpower, Leech Life, Ice Punch, and EQ. Ice Punch can be changed a lot. Yet again, you can run Stone Edge, you can run Poison Jab, Lunge, Power Up Punch, even if you're not running Choice Band. It gets all the other kinds of punches, I believe. You saw Thunder Punch. I think Fire Punch is somewhere. Fire Punch is somewhere. I think I just missed it somehow. Yeah, I think I just missed it, but it does get the regular punches. Also, one thing I saw was Fell Stinger. I think I put that on Other Heat. Fell Stinger is really good if I run max speed or something. If I came in on something slow and hit it with a Fell Stinger and killed it, all of a sudden my attack goes to +3, and then I get the beast boost down to +4, which makes this thing absolutely scary. So I could absolutely run Fell Stinger on Scarf or Banded. Scarf also gets the beast boost, bonus to attack, because without Scarf, attack is still its highest stat. So it's fantastic. You can run Scarf yet again and be perfectly fine. So that's a really great set as well. Another really good set is Sub Bulk Up. So Sub Bulk Up, Leech Life, and then you can run anything from Brick Break to Superpower to, any other kind of coverage. So I think that's really good. Next up, we do have Life Orb, and Life Orb's another one that is on the ladder a lot, for good reason too. It's just really strong. Superpower, Leech Life, Poison Jab, and Thunder Punch. I just picked Thunder Punch because I can show you the coverage it has. Let's see, does it have Fire Punch? No, it doesn't have Fire Punch. Huh? I thought it did, but it does have Thunder Punch, which is important for the quad weak to flying type. If I can predict right, then that is a dead bird. So Life Orb's also a fantastic set yet again. You would probably run Jolly yet again. Next up, we do have a defensive cannon, because I want to point out its defense is base 139. So even unboosted, 377 attack if you fully invest, which is absolutely crazy. You throw in you can throw in a little bit in attack, maybe drop this a little bit. Not drop it a ton, but you can drop a little bit. And if I do enough calcs and I can run defensive but still get the beast boost and attack, this thing would be monstrous. You can run, as I think I said this before, but you can absolutely run Assault Vest. Assault Vest is kind of needed, but this thing also gets Taunt and even gets Roost and Counter. So for the defensive set I showed, Counter would be fantastic for it because it takes so many hits. And yeah, I'm really happy I got this. I was gonna get Celesteela, but I was sniped just beforehand, so I thought let's just take Buzzwole. Next up, we do have Milotic. Milotic was my round 2 pick. I couldn't come up with a lot for Milotic. I only came up with a defensive variant and offensive variant, but it does have some really heat moves, which I'm very happy to see. This is what I run normally for. This is what I run normally for my Milotic. Also, I could look at a UU team that I have that I win a lot with, and go back to that and see the spread for Milotic, because that works out great. Marvel scale is when you get status, your defense goes 1.5 times, so you don't have to put all of your EVs in defense, which is what I did in this case. So of course I could probably take a little bit out and throw into Spidef and help myself out just a little bit. But anyway, you could even run Flame Orb on this because this thing has reliable recovery. Haze is one thing it learns so that Mons can't set up on it, or if they do, they get punished. Toxic obviously stall a little bit, and Scald. Offensive, I thought this was really cool. You can even run Life Orb yet again, and maybe even run Recover. Competitive means that if someone were to say defog a Milotic, its attack would be raised by 2. So that just makes this thing instantly a monster. So let's see here. Yeah, just max invested without a positive nature, 298. So imagine that times 2 nailing something. No matter what, something is getting hurt by that thing. And it does learn some kind of interesting moves, like Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is really interesting. I probably wouldn't run Hydro Pump because of the chance to miss, but If I did calcs and Hydro Pump was good on a certain mon, then I'd absolutely do it. Now to the other heat. One thing that's important is that because this thing can be run Spadef or special defensively, it can take a few of those hits, and Mirror Coat is a perfect way to take those hits and know the opponent right back. Also, it does learn Coil, and it learns some really interesting attacking moves as well. For example, Dragon Tail, Facade, Iron Head. Let's see, Waterfall is interesting. Bulldoze even. Those are just a couple of the moves it learns that it can actually run. Iron Tail. Mud Slap is useless and that's special. But yeah, those are just a couple of things it can learn. And with Coil and some attack investment, it could actually be perhaps run physically, which I think is actually pretty funny. Low chance I ever do that, but yet again, this is League, so you know something could happen there. Next up, I did grab Chandelure. Well, actually, first up, I did grab Bronzong, but if we're going by tiers, my tier 3 pick was Chandelure. Just a couple sets I whipped up here is the regular Trick Chandelure. This used to be run a lot on the UU ladder. Insert any item here. It could be a Choice Scarf, it could be Specs, it could be Black Sludge. I picked Choice Band because that could screw, you know, a lot of things, but so can all those items. Just running Trick, Fire Blast, Energy Ball, and Shadow Ball. That's some good coverage. However, it does learn some other moves. Let's see here. Like Acid Armor could increase its defense, which is interesting because this thing can be run moderately, especially defensively. Psych Up is cool because it copies user stat changes, clears smog, deletes them, so that could be really cool for setting up, for mons that are setting up. So keep that in mind. We do have a sub Calm Mindset as well. In just a second, I had to do something real quick. I'll be right back. My bad, boys. Had to be a little bit done there, but anyway, Chandelure. One big, really important set that I think I'll run a lot is Sub Calm Mind. This thing has a lot of coverage too, beyond Shadow Ball and Fire Blast. Let's see here. It does have Overheat, which does a ton. It has Psychic, obviously. Actually, it doesn't have as much coverage as I thought it did. But regardless, it's still pretty darn strong. Let's see here. If you invest fully in special attack, 427 special attack, that's incredible. Even if we took off the positive nature, 389 is nothing to mess with. If we threw in all this in speed and ran Scarf, this thing is really, really an issue. So that's really interesting. But anyway, Calm Mind is just so threatening. I think I'll be using it a lot. Next up, we do have a Spadef Flash Fire. Now this isn't really standard at all. I was thinking because this team has issues with fire types. Let's see, let's go back to the team real quick. Buzzwole is weak to fire. Bronzong is weak to fire. Caesar is weak to fire. And we don't have too many. We don't have any immunities, and we only have a couple resists. So Flash Fire is obviously really important. And I put on Assault Vest so that then what was I gonna say? Crap, what am I thinking? So that then we can take some special attacking hits. On this set, we could probably run Nightshade as well, but this is what I just came up with just to kind of show off coverage as well. Next up, one of my favorite sets for all ghost types is Wisp or Status Hex. Mostly Wisp Hex. It's pretty self-explanatory. Will-O-Wisp, Hex, and Fire Blast and Energy Ball just to round out the main stabs. And we already showed off Life Orb. HP Electric can be kind of important, but yet again, look at this special attack. It's incredible. And that'll be what I'll be leaning off of a lot when I use this mon. Of course, the Spadef is actually kind of fun and useful, but you know, we'll see when that actually comes in handy. I did show the other heat, Psych Up and Clear Smog, Acid Armor. We could actually turn this thing into an absolute tank if we really wanted to. So next up we have we're done with Chandelure, my bad. Next up we have a Bronzong. Bronzong is pretty passive, but it's really good if we want to run Trick Room. So we have Gen 6 Defensive Rock, Seer, Stealth Rock, Gyro Ball, Toxic, Earthquake. This is right off the Smogon analysis, yet again. So I didn't come up with this set. This will probably need some tweaking with new mons and some calcs for mons I'll be facing. This is mildly interesting. Next up we do have Uber Spadef. This is using Ubers. Normally it has light screen along with all this, but this is pretty much the same exact thing except a Spadef tank, so that's interesting. Not really interesting so much, it's good to know that it can run that. Let's see. It has base 116 Spadef and defense. So obviously this thing will take a ton of hits regardless. Uninvested, 268 defense, so obviously if we invest a little bit in both, this thing will take so many hits. Next up we have a Gen 6 Trick Room support. Mental Herb so I can get off a Trick Room or a Stealth Rock. Gyro Ball and Explosion obviously as 2 hard hitting moves under Trick Room. And then we have a Trick Room Sweeper. Macho Brace halves its speed, so then Gyro Ball will be doing so much. Earthquake and then Explosion to finish off right when Trick Room ends. If this thing's one of our main forms of offense, this will do so much. Explosion's crazy. Next up we have regular screens Bronzong, just dual screens, Heavy Slam and Earthquake. Just wanted to show off a little bit the coverage this thing has. And then some other heat. It can be run physically. It has Iron Head and Zen Headbutt. Along with that, it could also potentially be run specially. It has Charge Beam, it has Side Shock. Let's see what else it has here. It has Grass Knot, Flash Cannon obviously. It has Psychic, it has Shadow Ball, Signal Beam. It can be run special defensively, and I think that's special attacking, and I think that's important. Another thing is that it has Heat Proof. So any fire type move that hits this thing, the damage from it will be halved, which is very, very important in some matchups, especially because yet again I have a fire issue. So Heat Proof could see some extra use this season. Now next up we have Malamar. I want to grab Malamar so bad because I know how crazy this thing is in NU. Now, I couldn't come up with a lot of sets, but this is what I came up with so far. Trick Room Contrary is how I normally use my Malamar in NU. Trick Room Superpower, because Contrary it'll bring attack and defense to +1, and then from there Knockoff and Psycho Cut kills a lot of things. +2 is absolutely monstrous. Positive Nature and Fully Invested Attack is up to 311. So imagine that +1 and then with 2 other forms of stab, and it's incredible. Plus a knockoff boost from knocking off an item. It will be absolutely incredible. Next up we have the regular NU set for Malamar. Rest Talk Superpower Knockoff. This is also pretty darn good because once this thing gets to +6, you can only kill it pretty much special defensively, and I could probably run some calcs and perhaps invest a little bit more in Spadef and be able to sweep with this thing, depending on the matchup obviously. Almost everything's matchup dependent, but these are just some sets I came up with off the bat for, every mon. Next up we do have a Choice Scarf Malamar. This isn't too common on the ladder either, but it's still pretty good. Switcheroo just in case I need to get rid of this scarf and cripple something. Superpower Knockoff and Psycho Cut yet again, 2 forms of stab and a boosting move. Next up is Screw Your Setup. This is probably one of my favorites. It's running Focus Sash so it doesn't get killed off the bat. Without hazards, this thing lives obviously any one move. Topsy Turvy inverts whatever moves you have set up. So if something is, if it's Mega Gyarados for example, and it's +2 speed, +2 attack after 2 D-dances, Topsy Turvy brings it to -2 attack and -2 speed. We also have Psych Up, so I could also match up with this, with whatever setup, which is interesting. We have Destiny Bond as well. If I Topsy Turvy and can outspeed after the Topsy Turvy, we just knock that thing out in general, and then knock off just, because why not? It's a form of stab, which is pretty good. And here's a little bit of extra heat. Special attack isn't fantastic, it's not great. 235 is max without a positive nature. But it does have Calm Mind, so we could even run some Calm Mind on this. I know that's stupid, and I'd have to take off Contrary. I had to make it like Infiltrator. Infiltrator would be actually pretty great. But I just find that really funny that we could possibly use it in that way. That's about it for Malamar. And this is where my drafting, you know, I feel like I drafted alright, but I'm not really sure. Now we have Clefairy. Clefairy is pretty great. This is the Spadef wall, Soft Boil, Toxic, Moonblast, and Encore. We also run Rocks and T-Wave here. These are just two moves I picked over that. Next up we do have Rocks. As I was saying, Rocks is fine. You can run T-Wave over Toxic. That doesn't really matter. Cleric. Yet again, these are just kind of repetitive sets, but at the same time it's pretty good. Now, Counter is interesting. Counter is really interesting because if I change this to defensive, actually I do have Sash, so never mind about that. But Counter, if I take any physical hit that does a lot, if I click Counter, then I do double that damage in return. So that's really important for this mon. I could take out so many things. Next up, we do have level 1 Endeavor. Endeavor, Encore, Thunder Wave, and Stealth Rock. Now, if we had Weather Up, and Clefairy comes in clean and can, with no hits on it, and it just endeavors, and we have say a Sandstorm up or Hail, something dies after the Endeavor. So this thing could just screw over something because why not? And then lastly, we do have physically defensive. It also learns knockoff, so Moonblast, Toxic, Knockoff, and Soft Boiled is what I picked for this. Also, obviously, we could run Counter. This is one of my 2 fairies. I realized I really needed a fairy really late in this draft. I could have picked a better fairy, but for whatever reason, I just didn't. Luckily, we have this on my wild card, which is Togekiss. Next up, we have a Furfrou. Furfrou, I like this thing so much. First that I came up with was Resto Chesto Cotton Guard. Spadef. So obviously Fur Coat doubles this thing's defense. So I've got 1 Cotton Guard up. I'm probably set for the game. I just gotta make sure I'm not worn down Spadef wise. And this thing would just go to town on physical attackers. Just absolutely go to town on it. Unless it was like a banded fighting type. This thing just it walls. That's why I called it wall. It just walls, guys. Next up, while this thing can't be used a lot offensively, I did find a couple moves. Life Orb, Frustration, Wild Charge, Zen Headbutt, and Sucker Punch. It's actually a really good move pool for a mon that doesn't hit too hard. For example, see the attack line gets up to 259. If we invest with a positive nature, let's see here, because of 284. I guess that's not terrible with Life Orb, but not great. And lastly, we do have another Endeavormon, and this one's even better. I love this thing so much. Level 1 again, Focus Sash. Refresh, so I can't be hit with a status move. Endeavor, obviously, then this thing gets Sucker Punch. So I could Sucker Punch anything I endeavor and just kill it. So this is probably an even better Endeavor user than Clefairy. But yeah, I found that hilarious. That thing is just so good. And then I didn't really have a defogger outside of Caesar until my second to last pick. I knew no one was going to touch this, so I picked Luminion. The first that I picked was something I just kind of came up with. Screw you, Rain. HP Electric, Ice Beam, Surf, and U-Turn, Swift Swim, and Life Orb. So this thing can remotely hit things. Yet again, 259 special attack. This is with a positive nature, so that's really unfortunate. I could also even run attacking, but whatever. This thing has Life Orb obviously, so it can actually like hit something for decent damage. Base 91 speed isn't terrible, and this thing can learn Defog. It's also Storm Drain. It is a water immune pivot. That's this one set. Scald, Toxic, U-Turn, and Defog. This is how it's used mostly in PU, I believe. Just Scald and Toxic, just regular things. I did put this on just for the fun of it. Z-Move Splash, which I believe brings speed up by 2. So I just thought, hey, this might be fun, just in case. Of course, Z-Moves can be run on any mon of my choosing, and I think almost any type of my choosing for that mon, although I'll probably stick to stab Z-Moves. But I was just thinking, for the heck of it, why not show off a splash that goes to +2 and hit a couple things hard with this. And then lastly, we do have a support, just a, just kind of whatever. This thing does learn Tailwind, so that could be kind of used later in the year or against some equally fast teams. Tailwind, Defog, U-Turn, and Scald. So you guys do see you know, it's kind of repetitive coverage on some of my mons, but I mean, regardless, these things are pretty good, and I feel like this squad of 6 right here, although it can be swapped with like Togekiss for like Chandelure or something like that, these have some really good synergy, I feel like. Last one I got from the wildcard round. The wildcard round was when you could pick any mon from any tier with your very last pick, as long as it wasn't picked before and it wasn't a mega. So I picked Togekiss because I needed, you know, an actual viable defogger that wasn't Caesar or a PU mon, obviously. So these are just a couple sets, because I just drafted this thing a couple hours ago. I haven't really had time to think about it. These are just a couple of the things I came up with. This is just support Cleric, Togekiss, Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam, Defog, and Heal Bell. Serene Grace is always great. So if I'm slower than something, I can flinch things with Air Slash. It's fantastic. Next up, we do have Scarf. I did put Defog on this, but also obviously Air Slash yet again is fantastic. 284 speed plus 1.5 equals, I don't know, but it outspeeds a lot of things, which is what makes it really useful. And lastly, I did come up with an offensive set: Nasty Plot, Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam, and Flamethrower. Another thing I can add on to this is Baton Pass Nasty Plot, which would be very useful. But yeah, this thing does fill a couple holes in my team. It's not fast. My fastest mon without a choice scarf is Garchomp, which is unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, but at the same time, I feel like I make up for that with decent bulk. Some really interesting sets. All these mons can bring some very interesting sets, and I feel like I play well enough to where I can take on speed with really good plays, good bulk, good preparation. I feel like will actually play a huge role in this. But yeah, guys, that's my team. Please tell me anything you guys think I could do to make it better. My first game is, I don't know, I think today's the 28th, so I think it will come on a couple days, on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, because the person I'm playing is on vacation till that Wednesday. So we did say it'll probably be Thursday or Friday. It is against Jake, and he is the commissioner of this league. He has a Zebstrika that I'm very afraid of. But yeah, that's who I'll be playing. I might do live comm, I might do post comm. I think I'm gonna do live commentary first and see how it goes. And I won't do a team prep video. I think I'll probably do a team recap right before I battle, just show you guys the sets I came up with for his specific mons and team. He does have a couple huge threats. He has Zebstrika, he has Tangrowth. I'll look into it further, show you guys right before we battle what he has, what I expect him to bring. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. This is my first time in a draft league. It's a 20 league team. I feel pretty confident. So wish me luck. I'll be posting all of these every week, every match every week, and hopefully make the playoffs and we do great. I'm the Orlando Magikarps, and I am Kip Up, the coach of the Orlando Magikarps, and I will talk to you guys later.